3, 2, 1.
In this series of videos from Practical Tips for Rocket Engineering, we're going to be looking at fixtures and fittings for your feed systems and your rockets. But before we go into these videos, I really want to stress how important it is to get professional training from places like Swagelok, who do a fantastic tube bending and fixtures and fittings course. However, what I'm going to go through is some of the tips and tricks that I've picked up on the way. Hello, in this video of Practical Tips for Rocket Engineering, we're going to be looking at fixtures and fittings. Now, across the globe, there are many different suppliers for fixtures and fittings, but a good practice to do is to make sure that all of your fixtures and fittings come from a single manufacturer where possible. The problem is that if you have multiple fixtures and fittings from different suppliers, then usually those fixtures and fittings have a mixture of pressure ratings or compatible fluids or gases that they can work with. And if you're not careful, you may have a system which may have fixtures and fittings from one supplier, fixtures and fittings from the other supplier. You may not have kept up to date with all of them, and you are leading yourself into a potential risk if you use an incompatible fluid or gas with those fixtures and fittings, or add a incompatible pressure associated with them. In the lab that I operate, I use Swagelok fittings. The reason I use Swagelok fittings is because they have a lifetime guarantee, and also they are all rated to a very high pressure rating, between 130 bar to 4,000 or over 4,000 bar, depending on the type of series fitting that you get. So with that confidence, okay, I know that when the people operate in the lab that I manage, that they're always going to use a fixture and fitting which is much higher than any pressure going through any of the feed panels that we use in our lab. There are many different types of fixtures and fittings. For instance, here we've got an elbow fitting, here we've got a T-piece, and here we've got a four-way fitting. Now, with Swagelok particularly, every single component of Swagelok is branded. So here you can see the Swagelok branding here, but also even on the smallest components that Swagelok have, you will always find the Swagelok branding imprinted upon them. So when you come to assemble these pieces together, you can make sure that the branding is there, and then you can have full confidence in using those within your own test rigs and setups. So the potential danger in mixing brands is that you have a mixture of pressure ratings for the different fixtures and fittings, and let's say you had designed a feed system panel to operate at a maximum of 70 bar, and you used a bunch of Swagelok fittings which will go way above that pressure rating, but you then use also some other fixtures and fittings which maybe only have a 10 bar or a 15 bar rating. Then when you do come to pressurize your system, maybe doing some proof pressure testing, then you'll be taking your pressures at a relatively high pressure rating, and you could fracture the fixture and fittings, leading to a gross mass leak in the system, and also the potential for debris to effectively be expelled in all different directions, causing a hazard to yourselves. So don't mix your pressures, your fixtures and fittings, and make sure you know what pressure ratings you have in your fixtures and fittings at all times.